We're gonna get arrested.
I've been part of Wicket for 25 years and waited a very long time to make the movie. And so to bring it to the screen and to create a cinematic experience was a huge undertaking. One of the centerpieces of our story takes place in a dance, the Ozdust Ballroom.
Our Ozdust is much more underground, much more seedy. It's not as just like, hey, this is a school dance. This is like off campus. So it's the first inklings of breaking out of the system.
We leave Shiz now by boat. Oddly, that allowed us to think, well, we're going by boat. Like, what if Ozdust is under the river or under a lake? Maybe we've actually found the answer. I spent some time in Iceland, and if you walk under the glaciers, it's truly phenomenal. But it can't be ice because Shiz is warm. Can it be crystal cave? And can we allow light to come into it from above? And can we get the movement of fish?
So then I'm presented with this massive challenge of this beautiful, huge set. It's about 185 feet by 200 feet in scale. It takes up our whole soundstage practically. And it's clear resin walls. You see under the water and you see the fish spinning about. The fish are visual effects. But what we did do in camera was we put water tables high up in the set and we hit moving lights into them. And so we've got ripples of light playing throughout the whole scene.
There's no real interaction between the dancers and the band, but the instruments are all seen, and we need to define that. And it needed to be whimsical and stylized, but it needed to make some sense. And we are using Jon's, the director's choices that will give us some timing and some coverage and the emotional ideas that come from having an animal being part of the world.
Here we go. Ready?
The section going to the Ozdust Ballroom, that's where the movie is, that's the heart, that's the beating heart of the movie for me. And so that was a really exciting thing to work on. This whole thing is about these two girls. This is all about their relationship. We need to know where they are in relation to each other in every single moment. Even in scenes where they're not together, we have to know what they're thinking about the other person in that exact moment.
A magic wand.
It's a training wand.
A training wand? For me?
This is your roommate's idea, not mine.
Ari is very attuned to her face. She didn't want to bring anything into Galinda that was Ari. The image that I went to immediately was Grace Kelly. The simplicity in her beauty, her natural beauty, and also her look in the 50s was very good for Ari's face shape, and I think it worked brilliantly.
For Galinda, it's much more about curves and softness and femininity. There's a lot of pink. They're kind of rainbow tones. Its iridescence is a part of her sensibility.
Getting in those shoes and getting in that corset every day, you know, it just puts you in a different place and you're not looking at yourself in the mirror.
I had the choice of whether to be green or to have it CGI. I love transformation. I love being able to become someone I'm not, because I think that's a really wonderful way of becoming a vessel for whoever you're playing.
I didn't start with the World of Oz. I did start completely with Elphaba, because if Elphaba wasn't perfect, the worlds around her wouldn't work. So I really did start with finding the green that suited Cynthia Erivo. We did 60-odd tests and we put them on camera.
Early on, I made the choice that throughout the two movies, we would use every color of the rainbow at some point in lighting. So for the Ozdust, we used this cyany blue. And with Cynthia, we found that when she was against blue, it was this really, really powerful color. It made her pop in a way that no other color behind her made her pop.
I really wanted for her skin to feel textured. I wanted to make sure that you could see that that green isn't just on her, it's in her, it's part of her DNA. To walk onto a set and have everybody look at a green person It helps the imagination.
You know, ultimately, we're here to tell the story. Every detail has that same goal. So when Jon says the crowd needs to giggle a little bit here, or the amount of footsteps, the things that you don't think about when you're watching the film, but they're all very intentional.
We're really looking at some very small, specific sounds that are telling the story, but it feels big. That's just because they're so emotionally charged.
Where this movie really takes place is in the quiet moments. And in the Ozdust Ballroom, the sound completely drops out. And our Steadicam is spinning around for 10 minutes as the scene unfolds. But there are moments when we just pause. And there's a rhythm between the camera and Elphaba. And sometimes we get very, very close into minimum focus. And so the camera in many ways is vulnerable, just the way Elphaba has to be vulnerable in this scene.
It wasn't enough just to have a piece of choreography, because then it would just be choreography. It's just her dancing. What we were looking for was, what was she trying to say with this piece, and what was she trying to do? What's her movement language? How do we create this so it feels like it's of you, from you? How do we make it touching? How do we bring people in? How do we break people's hearts? We all knew that she couldn't move like everybody else. We didn't want her to move like everybody else. So it wasn't just legs and arms and body moving, it was how she breathed, where she looked.
The hat that she's gifted by Glinda, she actually gives it to Elphaba as a joke. Elphaba finds power in the joke of it, but then she also identifies with it. The hat needed to feel as alive as the energy that Elphaba gets from it.
I decided that what I wanted with this hat was for her to snatch back what would have been embarrassment and shame and imbue the hat with power. For it to go from a thing that diminishes her to a thing that makes her more powerful. From there, through the rest of this movie, there had to be a reason why she wouldn't let it go.
If people cry the way I do when I'm watching the dailies, nothing else matters. Maybe the most trickiest scene I've ever cut, because it's a pin drop. I used Elphaba's dance as a place to start because it really affected me emotionally, and then built Glinda and Elphaba's dance together second.
The way that Cynthia lets us in to Elphaba is so special and so moving. And it is a massive turning point for both Elphaba and Glinda.
And then the most amazing, wonderful thing happened. A single tear dripped down her face, and Ariana wiped it away. And that wasn't in the script. It just happened.
So all those things came together to sort of share the pain that she was enduring, and to share the loneliness, and to share the defiance.
It was just such a beautiful experience, and everyone in the room felt it with her. I'll never forget 1 minute of that day.
If you look at Defying Gravity as the end of part one, then you have to look at, all right, what's the journey to Defying Gravity?
Calm down.
For Elphaba, we purposely have always seen elevation or height as a destination for her. That's the moment we're waiting for, is her freedom, her release. She doesn't have to prove herself to anyone. That has to be the spine of this story. And what is the friendship that allows that to happen is the main thing, because it's all about the girls.
The two central female characters thing wasn't our motivation for making the show, but it became something that mattered. When we cast Cynthia and Ariana, honestly, that was a feeling of such relief, because I feel like they both really embody the elements that we needed for those characters.
I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy now. I hope you're happy how you hurt your cause forever. I hope you think you're clever. I hope you're happy.
Defying Gravity. That song is really special. There's something about it that just connects to everyone's senses.
Although I can't imagine how, I hope you're happy right now.
All of her songs are turning points in her story, in her life, in her growth, and there are always decisions to be made in these songs. It feels really powerful to be able to use music in that way.
You can have all you ever wanted.
With their voices live, I know, was like the best concert you could have ever attended.
But I don't want it.
One of the reasons why it was so important to do this live was not only because we're all theater people who wanted to so badly, but also because of the emotional element.
We would be further connected to the words we were saying, the music we were hearing, the story we were telling, and to each other.
Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game.
I truly believe that the original performance, the performance that happened on the day, on the movie set, in the moment, with the actors feeding off each other's emotions, that's when that magic occurs, which is their original performance.
I mean, we've often got 3, 4 microphones on people at certain times, and so we can kind of play around until we get the absolute perfect combination. When you have a live vocal, it's like sitting in the front row and you can almost feel the actor's breath on you. And I think there's something about live capture that does that.
Can't pull me down. Can't I make you understand? You're having delusions of grandeur. I'm through accepting limits, 'cause someone says they're so.
Well, Simon will essentially provide me with his mix of the live vocals every day. For me to be able to have that ability right away, to hear something that pristine, I don't know, there's something about live vocals that just feels very real versus something that could possibly feel canned with a pre-record. Makes all the difference in the world.
Defying gravity, kiss me goodbye, I'm defying.
Seeing Cynthia just feeling that moment of power when she's starting to build Defying Gravity, I think it's going to make it a very unique experience that you're not used to with musicals.
Elphaba, please! Listen to me, stop!
I think one of the biggest discoveries that I had on the process of this movie, and we discovered it early, but it was something that I'd never really asked myself, was what is Elphaba's actual power?
Sweet Oz.
And her relationship with gravity was such a strong sense of understanding for me and really important for me and Cynthia to understand. But I thought it was really important that we have to understand that doesn't come from nothing. That her power isn't that she made a broomstick fly and that the broomstick lifts her, but that her power is that she has a relationship with nature. Its most foundational elemental point is gravity, that it always pulls you down or it can pull you up.
The Wicked Witch of the West, she's always seen with a certain silhouette based in the 1890s. So doing a riff on that was what my task was. It's a very specific silhouette that I've created for her. It embodies a power that I really feel speaks to the character and what the story is.
We have these beautiful circular windows that have these jagged edged sort of broken glass to it, sort of representing Glinda and the bubble, and Elphaba as these Z in Oz, the sharp edges. The two come together, or the true harmony of Oz. So it's great to have those kind of beautiful, iconic images here.
Yes, the entire thing is huge, but in essence, it's still a really human story. These are human beings who are experiencing something. They're not perfect. They're infallible, and they're trying.
This is a show that a lot of people care about, and therefore we want to be very careful that any change we make is additive and is something that fans of the show will embrace.
It was an expectation of where the song was going. Jon was really wanted to sort of extend that moment in a way that, I think everybody who knows the soundtrack of the musical was shocked at. This expectation that she would succeed at that moment, and she doesn't. And then we developed one tune which we called The Green Toy. That's the bit where we found the tune to be the most effective, was as she's seeing herself as a child, and she sees who she really is.
It was very important to the structure of movie one, that we can get to the girl who dreams, to those dreams crumbling, to that woman flying above the dreams and beyond, but knowing that it was not just a gift. There was something she had to choose and something she had to fight through.
And it was really critical and material to our storytelling, particularly because we have a character who not only flies, but sings while she's flying.
Take a message back from me. Tell them how I'm defying gravity.
This is never a question. The question really was, how is this going to happen whilst I'm however many feet in the air? I put myself through it because I wanted the challenge, and I wanted to know that I could sing in those situations. I knew when I was going into this that stunts would be needed, and I knew that I wanted to do my own stunts. There's a part that you can't really prepare for, which is just how a harness will feel on you when you're moving in it. It's a really strange sensation because I have to shift the way I breathe in order to sing. But I think it's really important because I wanted to feel the flight, feel the feeling of being off my feet or falling, to be able to feel what I was singing. And when it works, it really does feel like magic.
And if I'm flying so low, at least I'm flying free.
I think the crane gave us the most options in terms of being high to being low very quickly, and also seeing the world in a different way. We're rarely at eye level the whole time, so we're able to change perspective very, very quickly, and also just have these dynamic moves in these sets that are massive.
There is a lot of visual effects in this movie. There's set extension, particle work, dust, and creature work, and establishing a world and having somebody fly, but it's completely organic because I don't want to stop the director from the storytelling. The thing to remember is that yes, we use blue screens, but it was really important to protect the actor's performance as much as possible.
I think these songs are so powerful. So it was very important for me to make sure it looked the way it felt. In a movie, you don't have to fill any space if you don't want to. You can whisper. Or you can fill miles and miles of space and singing Defying Gravity. And I think that's what going to the movies is all about.